Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And in fact, we are at the end of this session. And we have 15 minutes to wrap up, as I was told. And I'm sure that you have been circulated with the, you have been informed to give 3 minutes each of you as to what would be your recommendation. So can I invite first I didn't get your name. Yes, to start off with. Yes.
I'll make it 1 minute. So to save a time for you. My point of view is that we have a lot of initiatives. And the major issue we have to focus. That means we have to decide which roadmap. I know that at the core level we have a share point among all these initiatives. But at the end of the day, we have to focus about our own customized roadmap that fits our situation here in Jordan. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, next, I would like to invite Professor Abang. You have 3 minutes, if you like.
As we all know, the world now is very competitive, and we have this mobility of engineers, and we have to think seriously about the future of our young engineers, because there's so much development and innovation in engineering education, accreditation, and professional development. I would like to suggest in Jordan that you initiate a group or a committee or commission or whatever you want to call it to study the development and innovation at the international level now. You have to make your own decision as to what system you want to develop. Put aside the issue of accreditation of engineering programs or architecture program. That is being done at the institution level. But at the national level, national Jordan level, you have to decide what system you want to adopt. For example, there is the EURES and inner European system. The system is a bit different. There is the Anglo-Saxon or the English-speaking world. They have a different system. The European system, you become a professional on graduation. 3 + 2 years, and you graduate, you are a professional engineer already. That is a system in Europe. But in the Anglo-Saxon system, it's different. It is 4 + 3. You become 7 years. And if you want to become an international professional engineer, it is not 3 but 7. So the system is different. You have to decide for Jordan what you want. But I would like to suggest, since we came here under the Federation of Engineering Institutions of Islamic Country with the idea of promoting the ECAPS project, with the Medina and Mecca Accord, I would like to suggest you also consider this as an alternative, because there is substantial equivalence between the ECAPS project and that of the IEA Washington Accord project. This is almost equivalent, and of course we try to make it a bit better if possible. So I would like to suggest there's an effort at the Jordanian country level, especially JEA, to try to discuss all this and make a decision on the way forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Isam.
Okay, thank you. First of all, at the country level, I have 2 recommendations. The first thing is to emphasize the application of the National Qualification Framework. I feel that this is a must. As far as I know that we have developed one, but still, I don't know if it has been adopted or been implemented or not. And the second issue towards internationalization, that we would like to be a signatory in one of the international accords, like Washington Accord or Sydney Accord or the European Accord or the Islamic Accord, so that through that we can go towards the internationalization. Now, at the faculties of engineering at the schools levels, I feel that engineering colleges should revise their curriculum. in terms of the shape and the content. Not just only the shape, also the content, and also they should include professional component within their program so that we can enhance the employability of our graduates. Again, the engineering colleges should co-op with the various stakeholders. The Engineers Syndicate, Engineers Association, the alumni, the donors, the government, the different ministries, the Ministry of Public Works, the Ministry of Labor, so they have to cooperate with all these institutions in order to develop programs of high relevance. Unfortunately, still it's not of high relevance. Again, to be on par with what's taking place internationally, we have to think about the use of IT. In fact, the use of IT in our universities is still very limited, and I think we should use it in all the aspects, whether we're talking about the teaching and learning process, in the administration, in the research, and also in the development. Again, one of the important issues when we graduate the students, the assessment process. The current assessment is a very classical one. Now we have to revise the assessment process, and for each activity, we should have a set of KPIs, key performance indicators, and the assessment process should be based on those indicators. Again, we have to relook at the labs and the facilities that we have. So the teaching and learning process should not be restricted to the classroom, also the workspace, also the space at the schools of engineering. It should be, reshaped totally. It's not, it's not very conducive what we have currently. Again, Jordan should be, as a model in the region as we used to be before. So now we have to rethink the engineering education in particular and higher education in general, so that we can play a dominant role in developing the human capital in the region as we used to do before. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Now I would like to invite Professor Adnan.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Actually, I have to speak a little bit different somewhat from what I have. For the past 2 days, we have been talking about accreditation and quality education and the like. Unfortunately, what is missing here are representatives from the government and representatives from the universities. All what we are talking about is relating to universities. We cannot dictate to them. They should be listening to what's happening in the world. Unfortunately, this element is not there. Most of what we do is for them. At the same time, for the engineering, I want from you basically a clarity of the purpose of why are we meeting today. What is it that we are meeting in for today? And this is what we are meeting in for today, is the responsibility of the government representatives, the ministry, and the colleges of education, or maybe the universities. My understanding is that we have to make it extremely clear that we're looking for quality graduates in engineering. We would like these students, when they graduate, to be competitive, to be mobile, and to be educated, and at the top of all, my understanding is that you want to reduce the number of the flooding of the students to your This is what we want to concentrate. How do you do that? It is not your responsibility. My understanding is that the government or the ministry dictates to you that there are universities opening, students are admitted to the university, and you have no say in the way they are admitted and who they are, but you are obligated to take the number of students there. That creates a problem. What are you going to do if you are unable to help introducing the number of good students coming to you, then you should use your own power as much as you can if you are able to do that. You have to use that to say that require examinations, maybe require accreditation. If you want to join any of the international bodies of engineering accords, then you should have an independent accreditation in Jordan. You cannot rely on ABIT. You cannot rely on anything else. You have to do it your own. So the way forward is for you to make up what you want. To control the number of students, you say, yes, I'm going to give them an exam, or I want them to come from an accredited international, whatever it is, and that is what you have to do. Otherwise, we are just always talking about what's happening, and even the people who are responsible, they are not even here to listen. How are we going to communicate to them that I'm going to get the colleges, I'm going to change the curricula, I'm going to change the faculty, I'm going to do that? They have to be listening, or if they are not listening, then you use your own power if you are able to do that. I suggest to say that maybe GEA is not interested, is going to require this and that, and test the water. If they might disagree with you, or they might agree. If they agree, so be it. If they disagree, then they will come around and talk. Other than that, we just always talk about the problems we have. Everybody talks about it. But I want to see action. I want to see whatever you can do in order to enhance it. You have 56,000 students right now studying engineering, 60 with 80% of the tawjihi coming in, and they're just going to go. And all, incidentally, the private universities here, they always tell you we believe in quality, but when it comes down to it, absolutely none of it. I tell you that. You have to put your foot down. If you don't do that, so what? You just met, and then that is my recommendation, is you work on yourself, is that this is what you demand, this is what you want, until somebody tells you yes or no, then you break it into that. Other than that recommendation, and I leave it this way, because elaborate, we've been talking 2 days repeating everything which is related to quality and to graduates and mobility. But what are we doing? I tell you something else so you can see from my personal experience. I have been accrediting over 80 to 90 programs in this part of the world, in the region. I have never, from any place on earth, in any of these universities here of the world, of Mecca or Medina abroad or whatever. So we are disjointing ourselves from universities. What's going on? We have to be working together. I have not heard about it, not one time, not from a student, not from faculty, not from me, not anybody. So that is what we want to do. If you have to do something, you try, test it, do something, approach, push, until somebody tells you yes or no. Then you break it this way. But just sending recommendations and talking about it, and everybody is frustrated, and everybody, that doesn't work. And I leave it this way.
Thank you very much. Yes, we come to the end, trying to resolve. I know Professor Adnan is frustrated with the situation, but maybe because of the lack of information, right? That means to say, we do not actually disseminate the message. We do not disseminate the information enough. And of course, we probably do not actually conduct a study to see what is really our situation and what are the things that we need to actually move. How do we move forward, right? And Professor Essam, he wanted to see changes happening, right? Changes happening to the engineering education, right? Which is what everybody is talking about, but change is always difficult. So how do we move forward talking about this change? There are lots of models, there are a lot of examples, and people are moving even without really a rigid curriculum. There are cases where programs doesn't have a rigid curriculum, but with a rigid objective. So, but these are changes coming in, and are we ready for that? And Professor Abang is saying that we need to ensure that there must be a system in place. You need to make a decision, right? There is a decision that you have to make. Where are you going to move? Where are you heading, really? So that is something that what Professor Abang has been stressing. And Engineer Munir, if I get your name right, is it? Yeah, Engineer Munir. He said, what's our focus? Right? Can we focus on what we need to do, right? So which means to say he wanted some kind of a roadmap, right? So that we know where we are heading, why we are heading, and are we prepared to head towards that. So with that, I think I've drafted something. Whether you agree or disagree, maybe we can debate on that, but I'm sure because lunch is around the corner, you might not want to debate with me. Eh? All right. I think we recognize the importance of benchmarking in the provision of engineering education in Jordan, right? And maintaining its quality. And we also acknowledge the similarity between the Washington Accord and the Medina Accord, the similarity. So upon that, we would like to recommend that JEA to develop its system, right, and capacity towards becoming the authority to conduct accreditation of engineering programs in Jordan. That's the first recommendation. Acknowledging what has been mentioned just now, we would like to also recommend JEA to provide the roadmap to attaining full signatory status of both Washington and Medina Accord by virtue of its similarity. You can actually get both. And of course, last but not least, the involvement of the HEI, acknowledging the importance. They are a major partner to any accreditation exercise. They should also be involved in future discussions and endeavors that JEA is going to conduct to create awareness and moving forward with regard to the higher education institution. But at the same time, remember, education is not the end. We are also targeting the professional systems, right? So in this case, the recommendation is that JEA establishes a committee of which JEA has already started, like the Medica, right? To prepare the roadmap for accession to IPEA and the Makkah Accord by virtue of its similarity. And finally, it is recommended that engineers in Jordan, that's all of us here, or all of you, right, to contribute towards achieving this IPEA and the Makkah Accord, because the engineers are the one who has to participate in this activity. It cannot work with only JEA wanting it. So I think those are amongst the recommendations that what we have been talking about, but hopefully these are documented, right? Followed through and making sure that it's your KPI. With that, thank you very much, and I'm passing it to the Secretary General.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يعني أنا بدي أحكي كلمتين بالإنجليزي وبعدين بدي بجوز أخاطب الإخوان الموجودين هم باللغة العربية for the sake of the audience. I would like at the end of this symposium and on behalf of Jordan Engineers Association Board to thank highly the contribution of our colleagues from Malaysia, Professor Abang Abdullah and Professor Migati Johri. Also, I would like to thank all those who make this event successful, especially Dr. Isam Zabalawi, who's dedicated his time to come from Kuwait to Jordan in order to make this valuable and remarkable presentation. So I would like to thank Professor Naife and all the deans and faculty members from Jordan universities who became to this important event. And let me shift a little bit into Arabic just to make some remarks about what has been said, just for the sake of Jordanians who are participating in this conference. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اخواني الكرام، بدي احب احكي شغله واحده. احنا في نقابه المهندسين الاردنيين حرصنا كل الحرص على انجاح فعاليات هذه الورشه. وبالتالي احنا اليوم محظوظين انه معنا مجموعه من الاخوان وبالذات من المملكه العربيه السعوديه. معنا امين عام اتحاد المنظمات الهندسيه الاسلاميه السيد المهندس فرحان الشمري، والاخوان من المملكه العربيه السعوديه، واخواننا من ماليزيا، وزملائنا من الخارج. احنا خلال الفتره الماضيه انا شخصيا قابلت معالي وزير التعليم العام، وقابلت رئيس مجلس الاعتماد، وقابلت مجموعه من الاكاديميين اللي هم اصحاب الديسيجن ميكينج في البلد، وحاولت قدر الامكان ان نحكي انه احنا وي ار جود، ولكن احنا بحاجه الى مسافات جديده لازم نعملها على اساس انه نحافظ على الكومبتitiveness ايدج اللي موجوده عند الجامعات الاردنيه، اذا كان في عندنا في بعض الجامعات بعض المشاكل والامور المتعلقه فيها. وانا بعتقد شيء حقيقي وشيء مطلوب منا جميعا انه دائما ان نفكر بانه ما نظل ستاتيك، لازم نغير ونشتغل بدايناميسيتي عاليه باتجاه التحسينات. اليوم العالم بتغير، وانا بعتقد الكومبيتيشن بزيد. اليوم المهندس لما بيطلع على اي دوله في العالم، سواء كانت في الجي سي سي كونتريز او ميدل ايست نورث افريكا او ويرفر، عماله يعني بتنافس مع العالم، صار قريه صغيره وبتنافس مع كثير من الناس. اذا ما احنا حسنا وعملنا ريفورم للهاير اديوكيشن اللي موجود عندنا بطريقه دراماتيكيه، انا بعتقد زي ما حكى الدكتور عصام زعبلاوي قبل شويه، اذا ما في عندك تشينج استراتيجي راح يكون في عندك تشينجينج وخروج من السوق، وبالتالي احنا راح نفقد الميزه اللي كنا موجودين فيها في لحظه من اللحظات. احنا اليوم هدفنا من هذه الورشه انه ندعو الجامعات الى اعاده التفكير بالانماط اللي بيشتغلوا فيها بالنسبه لقضايا فتح الاختصاصات واستيعاب الطلاب. وبنفس الوقت احنا بنطلب من وزاره التعليم العالي والحكومه الاردنيه انها تفكر تفكير حقيقي في اعاده النظر في اعداد المقبولين ونوعيه المقبولين والاسس اللي بيتم عليها اعداد المقبولين. وبهذا الصدد قدمت نقابه المهندسين استراتيجيه متكامله للحكومه الاردنيه بالنسبه لهذا الموضوع على مختلف الموضوع او مستويات القرار. احنا بنعتقد انه الجلوباليزيشن از ماست، وبالتالي لازم نفكر اليوم ببنيه المهندس الاردني على جلوبال برسبكتيف مش على لوكال برسبكتيف. ومن هذا الزاويه ومن هذا الانجل احنا بنحاول اليوم ان نشتغل بهذا الموضوع. مره اخرى يعني انا بديش احكي كثير لانه انا بعرف انه الغداء في عندكم ارتباطات. انا بوعدكم انه كل الريكومنديشنز اند اوبزرفيشنز اللي تمت في هذه الورشه راح تكون موضوع يعني اهتمامنا ونوتد with a high care يعني، وراح يتم ارسالها يعني اولا راح يتم اعتمادها من مجلس نقابه المهندسين، وضع خطه فيها كي بي ايز كي بيرفورمانس انديكيتورز لكثير من القضايا اللي طرحها في هذا الموضوع. وبنفس الوقت راح نحاول ان تو كونفي ذا مسج الى معالي وزير التعليم ولا مجلس السياسات اللي برأسه جلاله الملك وكثير من الجهات اللي موجوده في البلد ومنها الجامعات. انا بكرر شكري لجميع الحاضرين، وبطلع دائما انه تكون نقابه المهندسين تضيف اضافه حقيقيه تهدف الى تطوير الهندسه المدنيه. ولذلك احنا لازم نستمر في المسير، ولازم تو كيب موفينج اول ذا تايم بالنسبه لهذا الموضوع. ثانك يو فيري ماتش، واهلا وسهلا فيكم جميعا، وان شاء الله دائما نراكم على الخير والبركه. شكرا.